Hey guys, it's Shades here. I wanted to talk a little bit about what's been happening in regards to World Wrestling Entertainment as of late, and about a decision I've made. I kind of brought this up on Twitter, but I wanted to clarify my full stance on this. When I made a decision like this back at WrestleMania 30, that was a spur-of-the-moment impulse decision based on one match. That match, of course, being The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30, where the streak ended. Looking back, admittedly, that was a harsh and rushed decision. And at that time, I probably shouldn't have been so quick to judgment. At least as far as quitting the WWE, because there was still a lot of potential there, especially with Daniel Bryan eventually winning the WWE title that night. The culmination of a whole storyline that had been going on for practically half a year. That was a mistake on my part. However, this time around, it's not a rushed decision. For the last several months, I have been extremely disappointed with the outcomes of every pay-per-view pretty much since Battleground. I think maybe one pay-per-view I've actually walked away satisfied. And even then, it felt like something was missing. Only Survivor Series was like the last pay-per-view in the last 6-7 months that I've actually enjoyed. Every other pay-per-view before or after has been mediocre to downright terrible. And it's kind of disappointing, really. This last Sunday, TLCST, Tables, Ladders, Chairs, and Stairs, proved to me that the WWE's main roster has no hope at the rate they're going. I don't blame the wrestlers. I really don't. I don't blame the talent in the ring, because it was obvious to me on Sunday that they were trying their damnedest to put on a good show. But when you're given shit to work with, polish a turd, it's still a turd. You have the best actors on earth. The script sucks. Doesn't matter how good they are. They're still going to come out with a shit performance. And that's exactly what happened on Sunday. The wrestlers did their damnedest to put on a good match, but it was obvious the booking was not going to let them have a good pay-per-view. The endings were all screwy. I mean, there was one good ending. One match that ended clean. Or ended sincerely. Meaning that that's how it should have been. That's the only way it could have ended. And that match wasn't even that good. That being Big Show versus Eric Rowan. Yeah, I'm even saying the Ziggler-Harper match, as good as it was, don't get me wrong, I still consider it match of the night. It was mainly Dolph Ziggler just throwing his body around for half an hour, getting his ass handed to him, and squeaking out a quick victory. Still an awesome match, intense as hell. The rest of the matches, though, all screwy. The Miz and Mizdow, DQ. Divas title match, Nikki Bella wins DQ. Wins by spraying AJ with hairspray, which makes no fucking sense. Cena versus Rollins, the one time I would actually expect a Cena match to be the main event, because it's for the his number one contendership for the World Heavyweight titles on the line, and yet it's mid-card. Like, literally, dead center. It's like it was an episode of Raw where that's, like, the end of the hour. That match ended in a clusterfuck. And even the main event, Wyatt versus Ambrose, ends because Dean Ambrose has a TV explode in his face. What the fuck? That's how the match ends? Seriously? My God. Everything about this pay-per-view just screamed terrible fucking booking. So I don't blame the wrestlers. I blame the creative. I blame the writing staff. I blame Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And why did they do this? Why is Vince McMahon so set on having that? Because he still believes that this is sports entertainment, and that entertaining the audience is more important than having good wrestling. Well, Vince, I'm gonna level with you here. On the one hand, I can see where you're coming from. And in ways I agree with you. Having an entertaining show is important. If we're not entertained, we're not fucking watching. We don't want boring show. We don't want a boring show. And if it's just straight wrestling, eventually it will get boring. Let's be completely fair here. You gotta have something to spice things up every once in a while. On the other hand, if you're constantly creating all these ridiculous storylines and all these screwball finishes just to keep things going or to create new storylines, eventually we're going to get sick of it. We want a resolution every once in a while, I can't remember the last time a storyline was legitimately resolved in a way that was satisfactory. And I don't count just having one clean match. I'm talking a storyline that was legitimately resolved that led into the next. And I think that's the problem. We haven't had that. Because there's always a catch. There's always something that has to continue the storyline in some capacity. I think the closest we came was Daniel Bryan winning the title at Mania. And even then, the battle with the Authority was still continuing on, and eventually led to him getting injured, and all that began. It just feels like there's no hope. It feels hopeless trying to watch it, because it feels like it's never going to end. It's never going to fucking end. I mean, granted, wrestling is a weekly thing that is never going to fucking end, but my point is that it feels like there's no storyline that ends to make way for the next one. It feels like they just kind of flow together and kind of merge into this big glob of crap. And I think that's the problem. One person even pointed out it's the fact that Raw is 3 fucking hours is a problem. You have 3 fucking hours and you can't do nothing with it. What the fuck? Having a 3-hour show has caused these writers to have to stretch everything out. Or pad it out with pointless fucking filler. I'll be honest, there was more substance in the 2-hour shows than there ever have been since they've gone 3. And I knew this was going to fucking happen. It's the same reason we stopped doing Monday Night Wrestling on RBT. We got so burnt out trying to come up with jokes and funny stuff to talk about for 3 straight hours, we gave up. Because we couldn't fucking handle it. It killed us. It almost tore each other apart over that. And yet, these writers have to do that as their job. They get paid to try to figure out ways to make 3 hours entertaining every fucking week. You know, pay-per-views, it's easy because, you know, you just have to have the matches. You don't have to book all this complicated stuff. You know, here's the match, here's how it's going to end, boom, done. Raw, you have to find all these dialogues to script, all these storylines to write out, all these plot points you have to make. I probably would burn myself out doing that kind of shit. But up until now, we really haven't had a viable choice. I mean, you indie guys out there. T-Dub, I know you're probably already saying, oh yeah, there's ROH, there's Chikara, there's all these, yeah, well, you know what? Some of us want to watch something that's a little more accessible. Something that's easy to get to. And I'll be honest, even on the internet, stuff like Chikara is not as accessible as the WWE is. So, for some of us, that's not an option. There had to be another option. So I put up with it, and put up with it, and put up with it. Until, thank you God, an option has come to us. In the form of NXT. $10 a month gives you the WWE Network and access to NXT. For a while, I didn't bite. I didn't bother watching NXT because, honestly, I didn't feel the need. I didn't feel like there was anything worthwhile happening. Felt like I was comfortable enough with the WWE that I could stick with that and be happy. Well, fuck that. I'm done dealing with it. So, finally, this last Thursday, I sat down and watched NXT TakeOver Our Evolution, which I agree with many people is the stupidest fucking name you could come up with for a special event like this. But thankfully, the title's the only thing that was bad about this show. To my fans out there, if you have burned yourself out on WWE and you don't like, you don't think wrestling's the way it should be anymore, you pine for the old days of like the Attitude Era where the wrestling was really fucking good. You know, not for the hardcore violence, the blood, or the sex, or anything like that. No. I'm talking like the good matches, the good storylines, talent that is over the top, awesome. I'm being serious here. I'm not just saying that. I'm not promoting anything here. I'm just saying NXT is honestly the closest you will ever get to something like that. Within 2 minutes of seeing Kevin Owens, a.k.a. Kevin fucking Steen, versus C.J. Parker, and seeing what every one of my indie wrestling snobs have been saying about Kevin Steen, I will admit, the hype is real. Kevin Owens fucking kicked ass. And when I saw that main event with Sami Zayn versus Adrian Neville, holy shit. I could see why people were singing the praises of El Generico now, because Sami Zayn is a fucking man. He rocked that fucking house. The moment to me that proved this was when I saw him dive from one side of the ring through 2 sets of ropes to the other to tackle Neville. I was hooked. I was done. Hell, in NXT, even the women's division is respectable. Seeing Charlotte Flair, yes, the daughter of the Nature Boy, taking on Sasha Banks for the women's title. And oh yeah, it's the NXT Women's Championship, not the fucking Divas title. It's got a little pink on the belt, but it ain't a fucking butterfly. You know what? I'll fucking take it. It's a respectable belt, deserving of a respectable women's division. Seeing that match proved to me that the WWE has no fucking clue, because the women's division in NXT has trumped every single fucking Divas match this year combined. Yes, that's even counting AJ Lee and Paige. That's how good one match was. It was better than every single Divas match I have seen this year combined. And it's proof to me that whoever is running the Divas division in the main roster has no fucking clue what they're doing. Because I was more invested in this women's match than I have been invested in any single fucking Divas match this entire year. That should tell you something. Not every match was a grand slam, but I'll tell you what, none of them were shit. Okay? I think the only thing close to a shit match was their attempt at a Goldberg. Guy who flattens I forget his name. There was nothing interesting about that match because it was a squash. Can't really do much with a squash match, but you know what? It was still a more interesting squash match than anything I've seen on the main roster. It certainly makes Ryback look bad by comparison. So, you know what? I'll fucking take it. But if that's the worst match you have, I think you got a pretty good product here, guys. I loved how TLC was set up, because after our evolution, there was word in the back that the locker room was going to step up their game to kick some ass and prove that they deserved to be in the main roster. And yet they came out with one of the worst pay-per-views of the year. And now we're hearing that some of the people actually did a silent protest by having a shit match to prove that the writing staff doesn't have a fucking clue what they're doing. You know what? I don't think that was necessary, because the booking kind of fucked you guys over no matter what you did. The minute that The Miz retained his title via DQ, he lost to the Usos by DQ, but retained his titles. The minute I saw that, I knew there was no chance. And quite frankly, I'm glad I have an option now. I mean, the fact that this is what we're left with, and the fact that it went all downhill from there, just proves to me that they knew. The main roster knew they couldn't compete with NXT. From what I've been hearing from reports, apparently John Cena was pissed at some of these guys for doing that. Saying, that's not how you protest. You gotta step up. You gotta be... John, shut the fuck up, dude. I have been a defender of yours for years now, and even I'm telling you, dude, shut the fuck up. The reason you're saying that is because you're the one who's going to be going for the WWE title at Royal Rumble. You're still their top guy. So of course you're going to vote everybody else, because they make you look good. Fuck you. What about guys like Dolph Ziggler, who every time he tries to climb the ladder gets knocked the fuck down? One little injury, one concussion, and all of a sudden he's buried. And he had to claw his way back up. How many times has a major player get a push, make one minor little mistake, and get buried? Right? I'm not talking to guys like Zack Ryder, because quite frankly, Zack Ryder's gimmick wasn't going to work. Let's be fair here. I'm not talking about a lot of the guys like Damian Sandow, who again, has a gimmick that's not going to be a main event. He's awesome, he's fun to watch, but he's not a main event material. I'm not saying that every single person that the IWC considers their golden boys is main events ready. I'm saying that those that have been haven't gotten their chance. And meanwhile, you're getting ready to push Roman Reigns, a guy who, while having some awesome, intense matches, has been out of action for several months, and when he comes back, cuts some terrible fucking promos. And yet you're going to push him over a guy like Dolph Ziggler, who has cut some awesome promos this year, has kicked some fucking ass, who has proven himself. And no, becoming Intercontinental Champion and winning Survivor Series isn't the push yet. He's not a main event player. In fact, he's still mid-card right now. He is upper mid-card, but he's still fucking mid-card. I think he's proven himself by now. I'm sick of it. My apologies to all of the guys that I actually enjoyed watching, like Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Dolph Ziggler, all of you awesome guys who definitely deserve a push, but I'm sorry. Because of the rest of your bad apples, I can't watch you guys anymore, because I honestly don't want to see you guys get tortured like this. So I'm going to speak my mind by watching NXT, and only NXT. Anything else I watch is on the fucking network, and it's going to be Attitude Era stuff. It's going to be stuff that's not over the last 5 years. And this is not a rush decision. I've been thinking about this all fucking week. Am I going to go through with this? You know what? Fuck yes, I am. This will be the first time in years that I'm going to skip WrestleMania season. I'm going to skip the Rumble. I'm going to skip Fastlane, where the fuck that is. And I'm skipping WrestleMania. Because I'm going to make my point as best as I can. Problem is that I still have to support the WWE in some capacity because they still have NXT. They still have some of the best talent in the wrestling industry right now, and I have to support them. But I'm not supporting the main roster anymore because your creative team does not deserve to get credit for anything. Vince, I know you see me as just another IWC whiner, bitching and moaning, complaining, because I'm not getting what I think I deserve, what I want. I know I'm not alone in this. And you complained about the IWC's voice being very small. That may be true, but you know what? We have influence. We can tell our friends and family, don't watch WWE. We can tell the sheep. We can herd some of the sheep away. And then they can tell their friends, oh yeah, my buddy's a wrestling fan. He says WWE sucks right now. What's the old saying goes? For every disgruntled customer, that's 5 customers lost. Guess what? The IWC, as small as it is, that's 5 customers for each of us. 5 of your viewers for each of us that you just lost, that you're going to lose. Word will spread, McMahon. I'm not asking to bend over backwards first. I'm just saying, fix your shit. Figure out where the problem is. Figure out how you can get the creative back on track and get that balance. Balance your sports and your entertainment. Because you can't have one or the other. But you're giving us too much of the entertainment, not enough of the sport. And there's another area that needs to be fixed. And it's one that I know you, Mr. McMahon, have direct involvement with. So you cannot blame anybody else for this. And that's your fucking commentary. That is where our evolution has an advantage. Because you know what I hear when I actually listen to Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler, and JBL? I hear 3 children bantering off camera, talking about whatever the fuck else is going on besides the fucking match. And occasionally going, oh, look at that move! But you know what I don't hear? I don't hear them talking about the story of the match. I don't hear them talking about what's going on with the match. They don't get me invested in the match. And if I'm not invested in the match, then why the fuck should I be watching? That is why your commentary team has failed. Say what you will about JR, at least he called the fucking match. Got you invested in the match. You have Michael Cole, who you keep making look like a fucking idiot, and we know this for a fact because at one time Michael Cole was a good commentator. He could call a fucking match, but you've stopped him from doing that. You have Jerry Lawler, who's basically the face color commentator, the good guy color commentator, which is the exact opposite of how he's ever been. And then you have JBL being the heel commentator, who, to his credit, can be funny at times, but adds nothing to the mix. None of them are talking about the story of the match. They're talking about everything else. In our NXT Revolution, their commentary wasn't perfect, but you know what? I got invested in a lot of the matches. They were explaining how the moves were. It gave us an idea of what was going on in the ring, the psychology, what was happening in the ring. And it got me invested. And a good commentary like that can make up for even the shittiest of matches. That is what you need to do. Fix your stories, fix your creative, fix your booking, fix your commentary. Because your wrestlers aren't the fucking problem. Your wrestlers, your talent is just fine. Even Cena. All of them are just fine. They all can put on a good show when they want to. But there are guys that need to step down. People who, honestly, I don't even know why you have them anymore. 2 in particular. Kane and The Big Show. No disrespect to Glenn Jacobs. No disrespect to Paul White. You guys are great athletes. You've earned your place in history. You've earned your place as legends. Your Hall of Fame spot's assured. But guys, you're not providing anything anymore. Kane, either get your theme changed or get your costume back on, because quite frankly, you in nothing more than work pants looks fucking terrible. And Big Show, you are useless as a character these days. Again, no disrespect to Paul White. He's a great man. He's a great athlete. But it is obvious that creative has no fucking clue what to do. He has flip-flopped more times than any other character in WWE history. He doesn't know when he hates or heel anymore. I can't keep track of the motherfucker anymore. So I don't care about his character anymore because I'm like, dude, he's just going to flip-flop again in a couple of months and it'll be right back to where we started. You know, say what you will about John Cena not turning heel. At least he stayed consistent this whole time. At least there's some semblance of character there. There's a reason for it. There's a feeling there. You know, you flip-flop worse than Alicia Fox. And that's saying something, because Alicia Fox never knows what the fuck side she's on. WWE, you've lost me as a customer when it comes to your main roster. NXT is the only reason I'm still paying for the network, period. Hell, NXT is the only reason I'm watching anything related to your product. And I know I'm not going to be the only one, so to anyone out there in the IWC, spread the word. In fact, on Reddit, there's a new hashtag coming around. Hashtag WWE Stop Scripting. Spread that hashtag. Let the world know that he needs to cut back on the scripts and let these guys breathe a little bit. Let these guys put on a show. And I'll guarantee you that we will be back in droves. You're going to be seeing 5.0 ratings levels. Prove me wrong, WWE. Change your scripts. Go do what NXT is trying to do. Open the gates. And if the audience, if the matches live up to the expectations that I'm setting here, and the fans don't come back in droves, then you can go back and do whatever fucking shit you want. But if I'm right, and I know Triple H is on my side, Paul Levesque sees this and wants to make this happen. Let him do what he wants and watch what happens. If he is wrong, then Vince, you could run the company till the day you fucking die for all I care. And you can make it however fucking shit you want. Until then, I'm done. I'm fucking done. I'll have another vlog pretty soon explaining what's been going on with RVT and everything else. But until then, I'm the Shades, and I'll see you guys next time. Rock on!